Test taking is probably the aspect of college life that students get the most worried about and the most anxious about. And for good reason. It's such a highly pressurized situation. But there are ways to healthily recreate that test environment and practice being in that environment to help reduce test taking stress. There are ways that we can replicate the test taking environment and give ourselves practice in that setting to help alleviate that stress and give us more confident while we're in a test taking environment. The first step in trying to manipulate our surroundings to mimic the highly pressurized situation is making sure that our distractions are at a minimum. So if you are in person or online taking that test, your phone's going to be away. You're not going to have a lot of distractions near you. Sometimes it's not even allowed. Sometimes it's not even open note. But when we are sitting down to start a study session, it's important to understand our surroundings and understand certain triggers that may interrupt our learning, but also certain things at our disposal that will not be during the test environment and altering our environment around that. So, if you have your phone or your iPad right next to you while studying for the test, but you know that you're not going to have any of these resources during it, it might be best to focus and study without those resources around, put them on silent, put them away. It helps put your mind into that pressurized situation and helps prepare you for that. On top of this, we can also manipulate what exactly we're studying and how we're studying it. If you're in a math class and you know that you have 45 or 50 questions that you're going to have to do in a 50-minute time span, creating a practice test of 45 or 50 questions and just running through it, timing yourself, making sure all the distractions are away, and just seeing how you do a few days out from the test really does give you a lot of space and time to mess up, understand where you're struggling and where you're confident in, and adjusting your studying accordingly. It can also be great for community studying. Maybe you create a study test and your study partner creates theirs, and then you swap and exchange scores. It can really give you a sense on where you are and where you need to go throughout the rest of the week while studying. This can apply to essay type tests as well. If we are giving ourselves enough time to mess up and understand where we need to get better at, allowing ourselves to try new study strategies and see how they work. For example, if you're preparing for a test that has both multiple choice and essay studying, and you usually do the multiple choice first, give yourself time to practice with the essays first and then doing the multiple choice. See how comfortable you are with that. Maybe that's something that you strive with more. Maybe that's a strength. Lean into that strength, but you're only going to be able to find that out if you experiment, if you try different strategies. That time also allows you to estimate how much time you're going to need per question. That study time is also going to allow you to understand how much time you have on each given question or essay prompt. So you can budget that time accordingly when you're in that pressurized situation. And again, as you're doing all of this, it can really be beneficial to time yourself. Maybe it doesn't have to be exactly the time you're going to have during the test, but having something around that time gives you enough of healthy pressure and healthy stress to where, you might not do well on a practice test, but it's a practice test. That's what it's for. Again, they're there to give you awareness on where you are and where you need to go while also building confidence in this pressurized situation, because that is really the only way you're going to be able to accurately mimic the test taking environment. If we're working with flashcards, if that's your preferred study strategy, making sure that you're over learning, maybe you think you have a term or definition down. That is probably a good indication to look at it two or three more times, hammer that home, because ultimately in these time test environments, speed and ease of recall are going to be huge to maximize that efficiency and give you time for, maybe if there's a question that you struggled with, uh, coming back to it, leaving it, feeling comfortable about doing that, and having enough time at the end to go back to those questions that tripped you up. That's going to be so important. So and speed of that recall is so important, and self-testing really helps you with that. Ultimately, there's a lot of ways that we can healthily create those stressful test environments, but also understanding that we are giving ourselves space to mess up and to have trial and error to better understand where we are and where we need to improve or where we don't need to improve, where we're already confident with in our test taking, because that test taking environment can be really, really stressful. And we don't want to burn ourselves out during that. So, easing our mind into that environment can be a very, very helpful way of studying and preparing for those test environments. Did any of these strategies stand out to you? Are you interested in trying any of these? Please let us know down in the comments. Like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any other questions or you would like to see a certain video from us, please let us know.